How's it going, everybody? Bryan Alvarez here on Wrestling Observer Live. We are here every day, Monday through Friday, noon Pacific, 3 Eastern, Sundays, 3 Pacific, 6 Eastern. We got some not great news to start with here today. A lot of bad news today, actually. Former WWE Diva Search winner Ashley Massaro has passed away at the age of 39. Both The Blast and TMZ reported this afternoon that a rescue call came from her home in Smithtown, New York, 5:23 a.m. Thursday morning. Massaro was then transported to a nearby hospital where she passed away later that morning. According to the reports, officials did not say what the cause of death was, other than it was, quote, non-criminal. Massaro, who had done modeling work and won Miss Hawaiian Tropic USA in 2002, entered and won the 2005 Diva Search, beating Layla Milani in the finals. She first appeared on Raw, feuding with the likes of Candice Michelle, Tori Wilson, and Mickie James. She later moved to the SmackDown roster, where she managed the team of Paul London and Brian Kendrick. She also posed for Playboy in 2007. After a brief stint back on Raw, Massaro was released from her contract in July 2008. She had said at the time that she requested her release due to her child being sick. Massaro later joined a lawsuit against the WWE in 2016, claiming that she was sexually assaulted during an overseas tour and alleged that she did not get proper care for concussions that she had suffered. During her WWE run, she appeared on the 15th season of Survivor, but was voted out second. A very rare under 40 death of a WWE superstar, or at least a former WWE superstar, 39 years old. Death of Ashley Massaro. Condolences to her family. Got a lot of people on Twitter, a lot of her friends posting condolences there today, so you can check some of those out on our timeline. But that is the story on Ashley Massaro. We also, when we come back from the break, we'll have an update on Ric Flair. Talked about this a little bit yesterday. We got more details here today. Ric Flair is alive. There were a lot of stories on the internet yesterday, especially on Twitter, that he was dead or that he was brain dead. And Ric Flair is neither dead nor brain dead. But there are complications. So we'll talk about this when we come back from the break. Back in a moment with more Wrestling Observer Live. Back in the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also of WrestlingObserver.com. So we got to talk about Ric Flair here. Yesterday, this from the front page of WrestlingObserver.com. Wendy Barlow, Ric Flair's wife, has issued a statement offering some clarity on Flair's health. Quote, due to ongoing health complications, Ric was taken to the hospital and is expected to undergo a procedure tomorrow morning, after which he expects to fully recover, Barlow said. TMZ reported this morning that Flair was rushed to the hospital. And actually, I've got the full deal here, but we don't even need yesterday's. We can read today's. They reported that he was rushed to the hospital, and noting the specifics were unclear, but they were told the situation was, quote, very serious. Conrad Thompson, who is a friend of Flair's and is married to Flair's daughter Megan, said on a media call for StarCast that the situation was not as serious as TMZ said, and Flair was having a planned procedure done. Dave Meltzer confirmed the procedure was planned, but could not answer definitively how serious the situation was. Flair is scheduled to appear at StarCast in Las Vegas later this month, with the roast of Ric Flair airing live on pay-per-view on May 24th. By later this month, we're talking next week. Next Friday, actually. 1 week from now. So today, TMZ.com reported, Ric Flair is experiencing medical complications that have forced doctors to postpone a surgery that was scheduled to happen on Friday. This, according to his wife. Wendy Barlow just issued a statement on the WWE Legends condition saying, quote, Ric's surgery has been postponed until Monday to address some complications that needed to be taken care of first. Thanks for all the well wishes. TMZ reported he had been rushed to the hospital Thursday. Doctors planned on performing a procedure on Flair on Friday, but now Barlow says there are other medical issues that need to be addressed before Ric goes under the knife. The specific procedure is unclear at this point, but we have been told Nature Boy has had 4 heart surgeries over the past few months, and that seems to be a concern as they move forward with his care. On Thursday, Barlow said doctors expected Flair to make a full recovery after the procedure. Hopefully that is still the case. The good news, rapper Offset says he reached out to Flair on Friday, spoke with him on the phone. He wrote, "Just talked to my man. God is with him. Don't wish death on my friend. He had a long life, and he had done it all. Some bad, but majorly good. He is a legend. God bless you, Rick. Get well." And Flair's had medical issues in the past, including a very serious situation back in 2017 when he was placed in a medically induced coma for 11 days after he suffered a ruptured intestine. So his body is not ready for surgery today, and they are postponing it now until Monday. And I guess we just hope that everything is okay on Monday and he can undergo surgery, and then everything will be all right. But I guess this would be, if it's a heart surgery, we don't know, this would be the 5th in the past few months. And obviously this is not official. I don't know, but I'm guessing he's probably not going to be at StarCast. I guess anything is possible. But this seems far more serious today than it seemed yesterday. So all the best to Ric Flair.
I guess if there's a silver lining in any cloud, it is the fact that Bryan Alvarez just sourced Migos in speaking about Ric Flair's condition and an update. So we never thought we'd get that, and we got that today. It is kind of... I grew up at the age of 6. I remember reading wrestling magazines because I was in kindergarten, and that's comics I didn't get into, but wrestling magazines, obviously, I got into. And Ric Flair, Ricky Steamboat, Jay Youngblood at that time when I was growing up, my all-time favorite wrestlers. And Ric Flair, 70 years old, multiple now to find out heart surgeries. I mean, that's really kind of tough to hear because, I mean, I don't care what they're saying, they're making a full recovery or not. You can't just keep ripping somebody open like that, and especially at that age, especially with what he's been through the last couple of years. I mean, it's tough to think about, and he's lived a full life, but it's unfortunately, again, it's very jarring for, I think, a lot of us who grew up at that time, because it's like Muhammad Ali. It's such a big name. I can't picture a world without Ric Flair because he's played such a dominant portion of it for so long in my life. So hopefully he does somehow, and make a full recovery, and he is okay. And who cares about StarCast? Because even if that was going on, I'm not sure if it's roast season right now for Ric Flair in the condition that he's in, and trying to continue to keep getting better. So, again, the best to him and to all of his friends and his family and stuff like that. And again, too, TMZ actually has got the story, and no matter what was said yesterday, they seem to be kind of on it the closest. So we'll just have to see what happens going forward.
Yesterday in the show, I announced I had a big scoop that unfortunately I did not reveal before the show went off the air, but since word has begun to trickle out, it does appear, it is unsigned. I actually checked today. It was unsigned as of yesterday. But it does appear that 205 Live's Jack Gallaher, while under contract to WWE, is going to be fighting for Bellator. He is, I believe, a brown belt right now. He trains with Seth Petrozelli down in Florida. Got to give a big thank you to Filthy Tom for his assistance in this massive scoop. The two of us, the best team in professional wrestling and news reporting.
Did he two-source it for you, or did you guys do this together?
Don't worry about it, Mike. But the point of this is, Jack Gallaher, it's unsigned, but it does appear that he'll be fighting for Bellator. And
Wait a second.
Nope.
Will it be Jack Gallaher, or will it be Oliver Westfield Claffey?
It could be either. Who knows?
That's a big, big distinction for me.
Well, he's working for WWE, so he can probably use the Jack Gallaher name,
that's interesting.
Unlike others. So that's the story. We'll find out. We'll let you know if it gets signed. But in the update yesterday, they just wrote, there is some interest on the Bellator side in WWE's Jack Gallaher. No deal has been reached, but there is talk. I was told it's further along than talk. He was there at the Bellator show this past weekend, and I can confirm that he was sitting with Filthy Tom and Seth Petrozelli, and 50 Cent walked by and shook hands with Seth Petrozelli and Filthy Tom, but he did not shake hands with Jack Gallaher, which was a snub that cannot be forgiven.
Maybe Jack Gallaher is down with Lord Jamal or something like that. I don't know. But anyway.
Let's go to the phones. You're on the air. What's up? That was too long a pause, Mike. Yes, Ryan.
I saw a Tom McGee match that was pretty awesome. That wasn't the Bret Hart match. It was between him and Tim Horner at the Boston Garden. think people were.
Ryan, listen to me, okay? If you'd have said Ted DiBiase or I don't even know who.
White Lightning was a decent hand.
Oh, get out of here. Tim Horner.
You didn't watch him. I mean, he was no.
I did watch him. He was insufferably boring every match that I saw. So maybe he had a really good boring match with Tom McGee. I could probably buy that.
A good technical match. Well, not technical. Well,
tell me more, Ryan.
Maybe Tim made him look
basically
good.
what it was Tom McGee was playing the heel and Tim Horner was playing the babyface. So it worked well for each of them. But my question for you today is: do you think any more matches will come out with Tom McGee? Say like Tom McGee beating the Magnificent Muraca back in 1987, or that famous rematch that Tom McGee had with Bret Hart, because now we want to see more of Bret Hart and Tom McGee. I think he would have been suited as Terry Taylor's tag team partner with Bobby Heenan managing him, because I think that could have really made him a really good wrestler.
I'd love to see a Don Morocco, Tom McGee match. Especially if Morocco's in full Morocco mode.
Maybe I can get a hold of Sam Roberts and see if he's got any of those tapes. Since Dave had to apologize to him for... I don't even know what Dave said. I don't think Dave actually even said he was a fake tape trader.
I think he just dismissed him kind of out of hand as a
He said it
tape
seemed
trader
like
fan.
it was scripted. Well, it did. That doesn't mean it was. I mean, there's a lot of stuff on WWE that seems like it was scripted.
He's an easy counselor. You don't have to, back him up. It's all good. He apologized. Everything's fine. They're cool.
No, I'm just saying. I listen, the internet's bothering me lately. Dude, you know how many people I saw in tweets on the internet, fake tweets about how Ric Flair was dead yesterday or brain dead? I mean, get a life, you geeks. Back in a moment, Observer Live. Back in the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also of WrestlingObserver.com. All right, here we go. Some text messages here. So we can get a heaving sigh out before I get started.
It's a long one today already.
I was really looking forward to AEW's TV announcement because I so badly want to see good dramatic storytelling play out in a wrestling product, since WWE refuses to do that anymore. But with AEW saying they're not going to offer, quote, soapy dramas, I was just left disappointed.
What?
I want soapy dramatic stories. I love the Mid-South style they're apparently shooting for, but well-told, quote, soapy dramas are what's missing in wrestling today, in my opinion. I don't need 5-star matches in a sports-based product. I want entertaining storylines with matches that further those stories. My friend.
Hold the hell on.
My friend. Do you realize that they didn't say soap opera? They said soapy dramas. Do you know why they said soapy dramas? Because they're talking about the stupid, overdramatic, lame stuff that you see on WWE sometimes. They're not going to give you that really stupid stuff. But if you think there aren't going to be storylines, if you think there isn't going to be some drama, I mean, I can't even believe I am going to read that, okay? I'm not even mad at this person. I just wake up, everybody. They're going to give you what they think pro wrestling should be, which is pro wrestling, which is not what WWE is giving you. They're not going to bring the revival in and have them have hot stuff on their balls, okay? That's stupid. They're not going to do that. Yes, I realize they had penises come out, giant
Joey
blow
Ryan's
up penises,
penis druids
at the show. But the whole point of that wasn't just a random stupid thing. They were using Joey Ryan, whose gimmick is that he uses penis to flip people over, and they had a long-term storyline with him on their show in which he died. Yes, he did die, and he came back to life, and penis druids came out with him. Okay,
yeah. Paid it off though. It was the pop shot.
Yes, that's what they did on that show. I don't think they're going to do that on TBS. I could be wrong. And let me tell you something about Joey Ryan. Okay,
what's that?
I could be wrong about this. I actually have no idea. But Joey Ryan is a guy who works on the indie scene, okay? He's not under contract. He had a Lucha Underground contract, but, I mean, he's not making $250,000 a year doing nothing for Lucha Underground. He's making zero, okay? So he's a guy out there on the indies, and he needs to make a living. He's got a house in California, okay? So he had an act that promoters would pay him to come on their shows and do. And so he did it. And he made a lot of money doing it, all right? If he signs with All Elite Wrestling And he's going to be making, I don't know what they're paying these guys. Maybe he's going to make $150,000 a year. Maybe he's going to make $200,000 a year.
Let's just say more, though, than he makes flipping people on the
point is he's going to make money under contract from AEW, whether he works or not. Okay? He doesn't need to do his penis gimmick. If they want him to, he can do it. But he's not going to have to go out there and hustle and get himself booked everywhere like he did before. And obviously people want to pay to see him flip people with his penis, and he's going to do it. He doesn't need to do that for All Elite Wrestling. I don't know what he's going to do there, but the point of all of this is everybody who thinks that All Elite Wrestling is going to be a 2-hour show with nothing but matches, and everybody out there trying to have 5-star matches and no stories, I mean, get with the program. That's not what this is going to be. It's ridiculous. Have you watched one episode of Being the Elite? Like, whether you like Being the Elite or not, okay? Whether you like what they do and think it's the funniest thing that you've seen in 20 years, whatever, okay? The fact of the matter is, they do storylines on that show. They do long-term storylines. They paid off at the first, whatever they called it. What was the first show called? The second one's Double or Nothing, All In. They paid off at All In. They're going to pay off at Double or Nothing. They do long-term storylines. You may not like the ones they do on the internet, okay? What they do on the internet is not necessarily anything like what they're going to do when they're on TNT. We don't know what they're going to do on TNT. But I do know what they're not going to do on TNT, and that is have 2 hours of nothing but matches and 0 storylines. I promise you. I promise you this.
Well, I mean, if you want to take a text like that seriously, I mean...
I do take it seriously.
They did bring up Mid-South. Well, I mean, you could look at it instead of doing that, look at it as a teachable moment of just reminding people that if, hey, they're talking about the Mid-South thing, which that author noted, you know, forget about the soapy part and just look at the drama part and look back at one of, if not the single best television show in wrestling history was Ted DiBiase and going after Ric Flair and Murdoch on the concrete floor. There was the Mr. Wrestling 2 imposter with Mr. Olympia. There were, a zillion things that Mid-South did, which was riveting, dramatic TV. That was done in in the guise of sport. And obviously it's 2019 and it's the Young Bucks and the people involved. So we know what it is when it comes to the sporting aspect, but taking it more seriously and hearkening back to things like that. Yeah, I'd like to see that. I think a lot of people would like to see that because it's one of the reasons that WWE's taken the hit that it has. For all those people that love for WWE just to be a fantasy, Vince McMahon's craziest, wackiest snow globe, that's not what's going to work for you. It's just, I know it has to a certain degree, but they haven't lost the plot like they have right now, and this is where AEW can scoop in. Now, when it comes to Joey Ryan, again, if you're looking at people who are talking about honestly and aren't just trying to fire you up or just trying to talk trash, it can be noted that the only experience that anybody has, for the most part, with the product of All In or what's going to be AEW is what they've seen on the internet, including on Being the Elite. And what people have seen about Joey Ryan has been what they've seen. So I don't, if that's a concern for some people and you're looking at these texts as legitimate, well, actually it is kind of legitimate because that's all they know of the guy and that's all they know of the show. So I think if you're taking some of these texts seriously, that's a legitimate thing.
Mike, listen to me. Listen.
If you're taking it seriously, then yes.
I can tell the ones that I need to take seriously and the ones that I do not. The one here that is asking when we're going to get the details on Dave's AEW contract, obviously that's not serious, and I blocked that person, okay? But this person read something in an interview and was concerned about what he heard. He's misguided. I'm trying to smarten this person up. But yes, there are plenty here that are not
abrasive.
to be... No, I am abrasive. Because... people need to start thinking. I'm very upset with a bunch of stuff on the internet lately. Like, everyone stop for a while and start thinking before you type. Like, in the old days, if you wanted to write a book, like, it was a long process. It had to be fact-checked. This was before you could just type any stupid thing you wanted on the internet without thinking. I want people to start thinking. Like, seriously. You think there's going to be no storylines in AEW? I mean, come on. Here's another one here. And actually, this is not a stupid one, but it's a long one, so I'll try and cut to the chase here. This person wants AEW to succeed. He says he read an interview that Tony Khan and Cody did, and Tony Khan said, "I am not planning on doing hundreds of non-televised events on tour. I don't think that would represent a large enough revenue stream for us and a profitable enough business sector for us to risk the health and well-being of all of these wrestlers. I'm not going to have an off-season, but there will be a lighter schedule, and we will work people in and out." So this person here, Charles, says, that is why AEW needs to succeed. He says, if they are successful in this no-house show but paying comparable to WWE business model, eventually the WWE will follow suit. If history has taught us anything about WCW, Vince McMahon has the ability to do what a competitor does, but better. If they cut out their non-profitable house shows, your favorite superstars will have a lesser chance of getting injured, which in turn will lead to an extended in-ring career while still making a comfortable living. All right, here's a few things. Number one, the assumption that if AEW doesn't run house shows, WWE won't run house shows? I mean, that's a giant leap. I mean, Impact barely ran house shows, and it did not cause WWE to run fewer house shows. WWE has run house shows forever, and they're going to run house shows forever. Vince McMahon, well, maybe when Vince McMahon is gone, someone else will not run house shows, but as long as Vince is around, he's going to run house shows, because he believes that's the beginning of the barometer of things going up or down. He always looks at house show attendance first. If attendance is down, there's a problem. If attendance is up, things are going all right. He's always going to run house shows. Second, I don't disagree with the idea that maybe you could run fewer house shows. How about that? But this is another one of those things. It's like when people get mad at me for saying that something in WWE sucks, and they stick up for WWE because they think that the wrestlers are going to be happy that they're sticking up for WWE. When the reality is there are a lot of wrestlers, most of the wrestlers, are very upset with what's going on right now. You can wish all you want for no WWE house shows, but you have to realize that the wrestlers enjoy house shows. They enjoy working house shows more than they enjoy working Raw and SmackDown. Now, granted, they probably would enjoy it if they worked fewer house shows. Maybe if they worked 2 house shows a week. Maybe 4 is too many. But they like working house shows. Like, you're asking a bunch of wrestlers who are miserable at TV. You're wanting to take away something they actually enjoy about their job.
Art.
You're going to take away their house shows and make them only do television? This is not going to be a positive for a lot of these wrestlers.
No, you got merch to sell, for heaven's sakes.
Not just merch. You can sell merch off TV.
Well, yeah, but
still, they like going out there and having fun at the house shows.
Well, that's it. And you get to have fun with your friends and remember why you got in the business. And if you are an old wrestling fan. So, yeah, I mean, why would you take that away? I mean, it's starting to atrophy a lot now. I mean, how we view entertainment has started to change. And I've always had that fear. I don't want to see WWE become the Harlem Globetrotters and just work C-towns and have big shows on Wide World of Sports. You know, I mean, the arenas are important, and that house show business is always going to be important and should be concentrated on. And where it's atrophied to right now, they should worry about that.
Got another one after the break. Wrestling Observer Live. Back on the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also of WrestlingObserver.com. I want to say one more thing about house shows. Like everything in wrestling, this is not a black and white issue. A lot of people are like, no house shows. They're too dangerous. People get hurt. It's not good for the wrestlers. It's never a black and white issue, okay? The other thing about house shows is if you look at the AEW roster, they got a lot of very, very good wrestlers. Excellent professional wrestlers. Same with the WWE roster, and same with New Japan and everywhere else. And do you know what they all have in common?
What?
They've done 1 million matches.
It's true.
Because that's the only way to get better. Like, the only way to get better is to get in there and wrestle. So, like, a great example would be, like, a David Flair. Like, I'm watching David Flair in the year 2000, and he pretty much sucks. But, like, there's some things about him where you realize, dude, like, if they would have trained this guy and had him do house shows off television for a couple of years and gotten 300, 400 matches in, he probably really could have been somebody. But they didn't. They threw him on TV. They had him learn on television. He was god-awful. And he never got that much better. I mean, he did some house shows here and there, but I mean, it wasn't like he was in there working with great guys. He'd be in there doing garbage matches or whatever. But the point of this is, like, to get better, you've got to work regularly. And as much as you watch whatever this week, last week, or whatever the show is, the John Oliver show, they talk about these guys are on the road 300 days a year, or the 80s guys saying 350 days a year. No one's on the road anywhere near that. If you want to count travel days, or like you're going to the airport and sitting on an airplane, which is not easy, by the way, but you're not taking bumps. I mean, the average number of shows, like, if you're talking, I shouldn't even say the average. A person who is wrestling a lot for WWE is working around 140 matches a year, okay? That's a little under 3 on average, 2.7 matches per week. That's not even 4, okay? So you're talking 2.7 matches a week that people are wrestling. And, like, how many of those dates are you going to take away and still expect the people to be able to work? Like, it's, I don't know. There's pros and cons, but, like, getting rid of house shows and only doing a TV product, you take a guy like the Jungle Boy. Like, Jungle Boy is much better now. But a year ago, Jungle Boy, very green. You sign that guy, and he's only working television 52 weeks a year, and he's not even going to be working on every single one of those television shows. Like, he is going to improve much, much slower than if he's going out there and taking indie dates and working regularly. That's just the way things go. And once you're in a major promotion without house shows, you know, you got some TV matches that go like 3 minutes with a BS finish. I mean, you got to be out there working to get better.
Just spitballing because you brought it up, you know, the only benefit to doing something like that and making it almost all TV is then you open up the door for the Actors Guild, if anybody ever wanted to go, well, you know, if you're a bunch of Gene LaBelles who are only, you know, coming to the set once a week for TV and taking the falls, and that's what it becomes, you know, and you're far more like Luke Perry's father than you were, you know, somebody that went on the road for 275 days a year working matches in towns night after night. So to me would be the only benefit of doing that. I mean, I come from that older school where, you know, I can still watch a 60-minute match if it happens. You know, it's not as easy anymore, but I still have enough patience and understanding to do that. It's gotten to the point where that's not the case anymore, and half hours seem to be people's limit. I don't want to see that falter anymore, where, you know, everything we see is just a bunch of 5-minute matches, and we see just really a bunch of bad work that's supposed to be counterbalanced by the entertainment portion of the proceedings, because as we've seen, at least with me, that just hasn't been working out.
Yeah. This person is, how can you blame the NBA playoffs for SmackDown's bad rating when the highest rating Raw ever received was not against Nitro, but against an NBA playoff game?
Well, how do you draw that?
You're going back 20 years for a stat and comparing it to today? I'll tell you how I know that the NBA playoffs affected SmackDown's rating. Because for the past God only knows how many years, starting with this year and going back to last year and the year before, the NBA playoffs always affect WWE's ratings. Monday, there was no big game opposing Raw, and Raw did the best rating in 3 weeks. Then SmackDown goes up against a strong game, and they get killed. So, obviously, it's the NBA playoffs. Not to mention, you can look at the audience, and you can see the young males leaving Raw at the same time that the NBA playoffs gets a giant surge of young males. At literally the exact same time. So, yes, it's the NBA playoffs.
It's almost
turn your brain on.
It's almost as if the NBA, outside of maybe the Premiership, is the biggest and most active sports franchise in the world, sports league in the world. I mean, as far as popularity goes, and there's the other massive difference between now and 20 years ago. As big as the NBA was then and on fire as it was then, it is so much bigger now. And as you mentioned with the demographics, I mean, they're very stark. There's a very massive difference, and there's a very, very massive takeaway that happens with the NBA that doesn't happen as much with football.
Person says, AEW may not have house shows compared to WWE, but some of the wrestlers will probably work on the indie scene as well. You're right. But how's that any different from AEW just running more house shows? I mean, you're working one way or the other. And trust me, I would prefer to work on a WWE house show or an AEW house show than any random indie show where I don't know what the ring's going to be like. I don't know what the hotel and the travel situation is going to be like. I mean, I'd much rather work a WWE house show than any random indie where I don't know what's going on there. This person here says, do you think Tony Khan will play an on-screen role on AEW television? My gut says no, but I don't know. Maybe you will.
Oh, God, no.
I don't know.
Don't. Jesus, I hope not. I talked about it yesterday, doing WCW-type things and doing things that WWE's already doing now and the rehash of that. I mean, all this S is the same over and over again. Everybody tries the authority figure. Everybody has their owner out there. Harold May tried to stick his nose in there for a while on New Japan, I guess, to introduce himself. It's just, no.
Hold
something
on a second.
different.
I will say one thing. I do not want Tony Khan out there as a heel authority figure. Absolutely, positively not. If he wants to be out there and be a Regal, like Regal is a great authority figure.
No, get Regal. Get a pro. I don't need Tony Khan, the guy who banters online, about a soccer team and all that stuff. I mean, I'm sorry. There's a space for him. To me, it's not on TV. And really, anybody involved in that, they have enough people who are bosses, who are executive vice presidents, who are going to be on your screen every week working. I don't need Tony Khan there, too.
Here's the lineup for the Money in the Bank show. We have 11 matches. As noted yesterday, Daniel Bryan and Rowan will face the Usos in a tag team match on the pre-show. How many people get to... I guess everyone can switch sides on a pay-per-view because it's dual-branded, but... Becky Lynch, Lacey Evans for the Raw Women's title. Becky Lynch versus Charlotte for the SmackDown Women's title. And, none of this really matters, I'll just tell you. Right now... Becky is still considered a SmackDown wrestler. When the Superstar shakeup happened, she was supposed to go to Raw because they were going to keep her on Raw and Charlotte on SmackDown so that they would be kept apart. And once they changed their mind and decided they had a bigger match for Becky at WrestleMania and they're not going to do Becky versus Charlotte at Mania, I guess they're okay being on the same brand now. So I guess for now Becky is not switching, but she is dating Seth Rollins, who is on Raw. So my gut is that when she loses the title, she probably will switch. But right now, she is listed as a SmackDown wrestler. We got Seth and AJ for the WWE Universal title. We got men's and women's Money in the Bank. For the men, Sami Zayn, Ricochet, Drew McIntyre, Baron Corbin, Ali, Finn Balor, Andrade, and Randy Orton. For the women, we have Natalya, Dana, Naomi, Bayley, Mandy, Ember, Carmella, and Nikki Cross. We have Roman Reigns versus Elias. I know I've mentioned this before. I've seen this match live. It sucked. I mean that in the nicest way possible. The Miz versus Shane McMahon in a cage match. Kofi Kingston, Kevin Owens, WWE title. Samoa Joe, Rey Mysterio, U.S. title. Tony Nese, Arya Daivari, which my guess is we move to the pre-show. So really looking at this show, Seth and AJ should be great. Men's Money in the Bank ladder match should be great. My hopes are lower for the women's Money in the Bank ladder match. Becky and Charlotte should be very good. Kofi and Kevin should be very good. Samoa Joe, Rey Mysterio, if they give them time, should be very good. So actually, this could be a very good show in the ring. There's only a few matches that look like they're going to be boring or skippable.
What did you say about Becky and the sassy Southern Belle?
I do not expect much from that match.
Okay.
I do not think that match... That is a great example of why you need house shows. You're going to find out when you see Lacey Evans work. God bless her.
Although, I mean, I don't know. Her versus Dana Brooke around the ladder is going to be... I don't know who's going to win the night there. I don't know. Dana Brooke, God bless her. Can you imagine her winning the Money in the Bank? Would they do something like that? Just to have a goof on her and have her do more interviews?
Yes. Absolutely they would. Damien Sandow won.
Well, but that was because of the whole feud with Cody that was going on, and Cody's mustache at the time, right? Didn't they throw it in the water in the lake or something like that?
I don't remember the stellar run of... I forgot his name already. Pretty sure Tony Khan did an interview with you guys saying he had no plans on ever being on TV, so tell Mike to settle down. Well, he probably will never be on TV, but... Yeah,
I've heard that a lot from wrestling owners,
If I had to count the number of people that said they would never be an on-screen character and then were, I'd run out of hands. And feet, probably. This person here says, have these people who think AEW will have no stories watched the build for Cody versus Dustin? Of course not. they probably wouldn't ask something like that.
Or Cody versus Aldis, which, I mean, granted, that was under the NWA auspices, I guess, with Ring of Honor and everything. But, I mean, again, when it's time to turn on, he does a pretty good job. Is he magic in the ring or anything like that? No, but, like, if he's done a pretty stand-up job with the stuff he's supposedly, supposed to take seriously.
Could AEW become publicly traded? Sure. I mean, nowadays they'd have to lose like preposterous amounts of money to become a publicly traded company.
Well, they will be. So if you want to drum up funding later on.
I don't know.
Wait a second. Look, I don't care what they're getting, and they are getting what the rumors of. Let's say it's whatever it is a week, and the ad revenue and everything. Look, you can't say that they're not going to lose money for a while. That with all the money they put out so far, of course we don't know they're going to. We're not going to. Now, does it hurt Tony Khan's feelings? Doesn't hurt his feelings, maybe, but I mean, they are going to lose money. I mean, it's fair to say that right off the bat.
I mean, they probably are going to lose money for a while, but they're not paying for television. I mean, if they run money-losing house shows, and if nobody buys their pay-per-views, then they could lose a lot of money. But if they're not losing money on television, and they can make money on house shows, and they can make money on their pay-per-views, and they're not going to lose a tremendous... This is not the XFL here.
You do start off in the red. I mean, what did he get, a small wrestling business loan from Linda to start up his company?
Well, no, obviously
and front all the money?
They paid all of their performers, obviously. Any updates on the 205 Live surprise? Yeah, I talked about it at the beginning of the show. Jack Gallaher is going to fight for Bellator. Not 100% confirmed, but I'd say 95%.
And I guess I should actually note, too, since we didn't, like, he's actually fought before, and trained under Billy Robinson and all that sort of stuff. If it wasn't obvious from his actual in-ring on 205 Live.
Back in a moment, Observer Live. All right, very quickly, let's go to the phones. You're on the air. What's going on?
Hey, Brian, this is Charles, the same one who sent you a message a little bit ago about the house shows and stuff like that.
Yes, Charles.
I was just calling because I kind of wanted to thank you for your side of the thing, because I was just kind of thinking it as aside from the health and safety of the wrestlers thing, and as you said, it's not as black and white as that. And thanks for kind of giving me the other side of the thing, and I kind of agree with you. Maybe reduced house shows would probably be the best.
Yes, I'm not averse to the idea. I want to thank you very much for the call in the DM.
You're welcome.
Yes, I think fewer house shows is fine, but I don't like the idea of no house shows. I mean, I can just tell you, if you think morale is bad right now, you take away those house shows, it's only going to get worse. I mean, they like to go out there and just have fun. And on house shows, you can go out there and have fun. And on television, you can't necessarily go out there and have fun. I mean, man, the Revival on house shows have the time of their lives, I'm sure. On TV, they're out there jumping around and rubbing their trunks all over the mat. I mean, you could take house shows away from them, they'll really want to get out. So will a lot of the guys. But anyway, we're out of time, everybody. But later on today, I will be back with Lance Storm, our weekly show at WrestlingObserver.com. Also up at video.f4wonline.com. If you want to see Lance in lovely HD every week, you can do so. Video.f4wonline.com. Mike and I are going to be back this weekend. We got the Money in the Bank show on Sunday, and obviously everything following that on Raw and SmackDown on Tuesday, AEW, all sorts of stuff. Check out the front page for news and more at WrestlingObserver.com, and sign up at WrestlingObserver.com for replays of this show and every show we've ever done dating back to 2005. 10,000 archived shows up at WrestlingObserver.com. And we're out of time. Talk to you next time. Wrestling Observer Live.